We are back on Inside Politics. Our guest today is Tennessee House Speaker Cameron Sexton. We're talking about a potential special session of the legislature and also mostly about masks, although we talk about some other things that they may bring up in terms of local independent health boards. Mr. Speaker, there was an ugly, confrontational, almost violent reaction from some parents in Williamson County one night earlier this week when the school board there approved a mask mandate. What happened has made national news. There's even been a reaction from President Biden. Regardless of how people feel on an issue like this, is that how Tennesseans should act?
I don't think anybody in America needs to act like that. You saw that with the protests earlier this year in all kinds of states. I think if you want to express yourself, you need to do it calm with decorum. That garners as much respect for the other person that you would want them to have onto you. And so I don't think that it should have gotten out of hand like that. I think people calmer and cooler heads should have prevailed, and hopefully that will happen from this point forward.
In terms of the vaccine, are you fully vaccinated? Are you hesitant, or are you resistant about taking the vaccine?
No, I'm vaccinated. As I said, I talked to my healthcare provider. We had that discussion. We felt like it was in my best interest. I didn't listen to the CDC. I didn't listen to the news media. I talked to the person who should know more about my health and has my best interest in, which is my provider. And I hope that all Tennesseans will do that themselves. So you believe vaccines are safe, and would you encourage all Tennesseans to talk to their health provider about going and get their shots as soon as possible? My opinion is Tennesseans need to talk to their healthcare provider, their physicians, their pharmacists, and have that discussion based on their health and what they have, their conditions. There's some people who are immune compromised who can't take the vaccine, and it may not be best for them. But those decisions are left best talking to your physician or your pharmacist to make those decisions that are best for you, not having government tell you what's best for you, not having school boards telling you what's best for you, and not having the news or the CDC trying to tell you. Talk to your healthcare provider. Tennessee, like many states, requires students to be vaccinated for several different kinds of communicable diseases. There probably are some in your caucus who are not crazy about the COVID-19 vaccine. Is that something you think the lawmakers ought to discuss if there's a special session or even next year? I think there's a difference between immunizations and vaccines, in my opinion. This vaccine is not an immunization. It does not stop you from getting COVID. I think immunizations, if you go back and look at the measles back in 1963 when the vaccine came out, it wasn't mandated to years after the fact. And so you have the capability. Immunizations are different than this COVID vaccine, in my opinion. I think immunizations are effective. This vaccine has not been out long enough to determine if it should be an immunization. But what we do know is this virus will be here from now until eternity. It's not going away. But we need to figure out how to handle it and what we're going to do. And to the whole point again is mandating masks last year. They said, we'll do it this year. And then this year, this is the second year. And so we know, does that mean that they're going to do it the next year, the next year, the next year? We need to have these conversations and get together as a public on how we want to move forward. One of the potential candidates running in the primary, perhaps against Governor Lee next year, Mayor Ogles down in Murray County, says the governor has been abusing his powers. I think he's talking mostly about the executive orders. Do you think part of the session ought to be looking at whether the legislature needs to put some limits or changes or even taking away the powers for executive orders for the governor, at least in terms of emergencies? Well, I think Mr. Ogles, if he wants to campaign for governor, go campaign for governor if that's what he wants to do. Once again, the House passed legislation this year on that issue. We got it to the House floor. We passed the executive orders where we thought we did it right. I do not think Governor Lee abused any of his authority at all. I think he did it with very delicate and rational decisions. There could have been other governors who did. I don't think Governor Lee did. But the House passed the bill. We're waiting on the Senate to take it up, and hopefully they'll pass it next year. I don't think we need a special session to do that. I believe we can do that next year because the bill's already passed by the House, waiting on the Senate to pass it. The final census numbers are out. You can start drawing up the lines in the legislature and for Congress. What's your timetable to get that done? You're under the gun because the census numbers are late this year. They were late. They were held up by the Biden administration for some reason that we weren't given. And by the Trump administration, they had to go through the courts. They wanted to try to limit who could be counted in there. It was delayed for that reason too, along with the virus. It's not just the Biden administration that did that. President Biden held it up an extra 4 months. That's a fact. But we have the data. We're going to start looking at it. It's going to take us a while to download it and get it in place. We have to have a decision made before filing deadline. Our goal is to have something done to vote on by the end of January, 1st of February.
Very quickly, up in Kentucky, they have a similar situation we have here in Nashville, with the Democratic district perhaps being divided up into Republican districts. But Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader in the Senate, is advising against that here. Is he telling something to Tennessee? Maybe you ought to not divide up Davidson County either?
Well, I mean, I think he speaks for Kentucky. He doesn't speak for Tennessee. We're going to have to look at the data and see what the data shows. We do know that population drops have been in West and Upper East Tennessee, and population growth has been in Middle. We're going to have to take a look at it. There's no decisions that can be made until we know what the numbers are and where the data is and what it looks like. Mr.
Speaker, thank you so much for being on the show. We'll see what happens with the special session, and good luck to you, sir, as you continue to serve the state as the Speaker of the House.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here.
That's Inside Politics for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you'll be back here again for a future show. If you can't get enough politics in the meantime, go to the Found on the website. You'll find my Capitol View commentary there. There's a new commentary posted every Friday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you here next time. Goodbye.